This is Joseph Hacken of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This subject is on Trump's collusion. President Donald Trump, in the meeting with Russian President Putin in Helsinki, Finland, had no tape recordings and no other evidence of dictation given. Along with Roger Stone and Paul Manafort's lying, and both of the discipline did not talk. Robert Mueller had no evidence that he could use concerning collusion. Lying, Stone, and Manafort covering up the collusion question, no matter what jail time that will come to them. And the promise of a possible pardon for President Trump to Stone and Manafort hushed the question of collusion evidence from Mueller and the investigations. Mueller cannot use that instance against Trump for his collusion with Russia. For according to the law, the defense would say, objection, that is mere speculation. They will need to get a confession from them. An attorney might try it, but that will be objected by the defense, and the judge will say sustained. But if the jury would use their own mind in thinking, they may not need that kind of evidence. They may make up their own mind and look at the circumstantial evidence instead. Mueller in his final report did a great disservice to the people of his country. He drew nothing on the question of the president colluded with Putin and the Russians. In so doing, brought this country into further injustice and wrongdoing, much of it by President Trump's misdeeds and rhetoric and lies. And even, well, just leave it at that. There's another term, but it's just, I can't get into my mind I forget what it is. But anyway, I'd like to come up with it. But he is even doing this after the statement by Barr, basically clearing him of collusion. Trump so far is encouraged by the statement of Barr's to go on with the blame game. Mueller should have at least offered in his final report that the question of President Trump and collusion should continue to be investigated beyond he and his staff's conclusion into this battle. The United States of America continues to fall into their shame of injustice and evil, and of their deeds of crime and lies. Mueller has, at the end of his work, brought this United States to even greater peril. That is not really his fault. It is the political system and the law's fault, and the DOJ's promise that president can't be indicted while in office. They, Stone, and Manafort took a cue from the Nixon tapes that were found hearing President Nixon talking to his people about the cover-up that brought President Nixon to resign. Do not take discussions to your collusion when those things are being talked about, or any other evidence that will give away the truth about the conspiracy of collusion with Russia. Lie and lie and lie some more. Propaganda, that's it. President's propaganda. Lie and lie and lie some more, cover up and cover up and cover up some more. Whatever. Be disciplined. No opening up of your mouth that will incriminate yourself and President Trump, even if it means going to jail. What about those questions on paper that Trump answered for Mueller with the guidance of his lawyers Rudy Giuliani and Jay Sekulow that were not answered in the court setting? The two lawyers of Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani and Jay Sekulow, covered up for him and helped him get around those questions on paper from Mueller. Those questions and answers were not under oath. All three, Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and Jay Sekulow, can manipulate and concoct anything that can get around the truth of any matter. No questions do not have to be in the court setting, another oath. What can be done in a relaxed and take your time setting with no one around. You notice how long it took them to send questions and answers back together. One can even overcome questions by saying, I do not recollect. They, somewhere in their conscience, could have some suspicion that Trump could have colluded with the Russians, the president. But of course, Trump has a talent for hiding the truth and getting away with lying. He has, in all his life, hired corrupt lawyers. Donald Trump could look you in the eye and lie and you believe it, because you very well want to. Just like President Richard Nixon lied to George Bush Sr., and George Bush Sr. believed it because he wanted to. President Trump, Roger Stone, and Paul Manafort, they do not obstruct. They do not obstruct justice. They colluded or conspired, take your pick, with the Russians. What objection, what obstruction from them is there? You either colluded or you conspired with Russians, or you obstruct justice. You lie and hide and cover up your collusion or conspiracy with Russia. Obstructing justice is what William Barr and the Republican Party are doing. Obstructing justice on behalf of President Trump, Roger Stone, and Paul Manafort. Giuliani initiated an offer that himself. He said that collusion is not a crime. So what if Donald Trump did? It is not illegal anyway. He made a case for collusion himself, then swerved out of it by again babbling some gibberish like he had done throughout the process. One of the presidential campaign staff was a person named Carter Page, who the so-called dossier spoke about as being associated with Russian Kremlin. That part of the dossier was true. He was also with Donald Trump's campaign team. He was the subject of a FISA warrant. This was cited by the so-called dossier as being associated with the Russian Kremlin from 2013 to 2016. And he was with the Donald Trump campaign committee as an advisor, but left when he was cited by the Christopher Steele dossier. He offered Vladimir Putin that when President Trump was the president, he offered Vladimir Putin that when President Trump was president, the sanctions levied on Putin and Russia would be taken away. These sanctions were put in place by President Barack Obama, which put an end to Trump and Putin's deal for a Trump Tower in Moscow, fueling the animosity that Donald Trump has with Barack Obama. After Trump became president, Trump set out to undo all the policies that then President Obama put forth. Donald Trump had plenty of motives and opportunities to collude with the Russians. For one, he could undo the sanctions on Putin and Russia. And two, he could change all of the United States policies that the United States had with many of the other countries that he thought were bad for his own business and family. These are two of the reasons for his motive and opportunity to become president of the United States. He needed Putin and Russia desperately. The Trump family needed money. The financial ruin was coming. Another note on Carter Page. He unwittingly admitted to it on the Laura Ingraham show on Fox News of the dossier claiming that he was associated with of the Russian Kremlin. Laura Ingraham asked him the question, and when he admitted to it, Laura Ingraham, being flabbergasted, shouted out, "But Carter, can you see why they are questioning this about you? But Carter, can you see this?" Quip. Carter Page should have pleaded the Fifth Amendment before Laura Ingraham and not answered her. No coincidence. He had motive and opportunity. When the polls of various organizations came out with their poll results showing Hillary Clinton being up pretty good, with so very little time of making that up, Donald Trump went into desperate mode. He knowing that there were much evidence against Hillary Clinton, such as those emails, the debacle at the United States Embassy, and the already allied with Vladimir Putin, and knowing of the Julian Assange WikiLeaks fact. This was a perfect opportunity for him to turn the nomination around into a statement. To build up his global financial empire, he would need to gain government contracts. He had the type of business that had a need for the use of government and contracts. He could not get them by being just a businessman. He needed to be some kind of a government official. What better way he could get this done than by being the President of the United States, with his family being part of the government themselves. A few years back, he was on his way to getting a contract that would land him a business deal with Russia for a Trump Tower in Moscow. That fell through, though, of course, when then President Barack Obama levied sanctions on Russia's businesses that took down the deal. As just as businessman, it didn't work out. Just as businessman, that didn't work out. As the President of the United States, he could get this done, and more with the checks and balances system for the United States is one. As the President of the United States, he could get this done more, but not one iota did he know how government works, especially with the checks and balances system this United States is run on. He is in total shock and bewilderment, still trying to force the government to do his part. He does not want sanctions levied on the governments that want to be in business with him. The only way he allows sanctions is when he is forced to. He would have to allow it because he would have no choice in the matter. The United States Congress has control of that. But as in the case of Iran, according to how we see it, Iran's deal with the United States was a bad one for his business. He had to get rid of that deal and contract a new one that he sees will benefit him. Iran is the number one supporter of terrorism, not good for business. As in the case of Saudi Arabia, he believes he has a great need for them and their business. And even the very horrific murder of Khashoggi cannot stop him from his great desire and need to benefit from his relationship with Saudi Arabia. In other words, he is putting his business propositions first, before United States policy, domestic influence. This is what he means by his quoting the phrase, America first. He means him and his family first. What better opportunity did he have in the United States than he could become president? President Woodrow Wilson campaign slogan was, "Who kept us out of war, America first." President Harding, President Coolidge, and Senator Robert A. Taft, who was a U.S. Senator at the time, shared Harding's America First ideas. President Coolidge brought the same ideas to government. Harding and Coolidge is where Donald Trump looks to have his ideas from. This is why he was so very anxious to run for presidency of the United States, and to win even if it was not without cost. Dubious people need dubious ideas with dubious relationships that can pull through the dubious schemes. When you consider all of his business ventures with foreign leaders in countries around the world, what better position to be in than to be the President of the United States, where he could make the best deal for himself with a tremendous benefit going to his family. His taxes are a good indication. He proclaimed himself to be a nationalist, but all the while he knew that he needed the global economy for making deals he needed for his businesses to survive, and to make up for his bad investments in the United States and Europe. Again, he had big time motive and opportunity. I'm not going to repeat myself that. No coincidence. He had motive and opportunity. When the polls of various organizations came out with their poll results showing Hillary Clinton being up pretty good, with so very little time in making it up, Donald Trump went into desperate mode. He knew that there were much evidence against Hillary Clinton, such as those emails, the debacle of the United States Embassy, and he already allied up with Vladimir Putin, and knowing of the Julian Assange WikiLeaks factor. This was a perfect opportunity for him to turn the nomination around for his state. He had a meeting with Putin at the White House. Now he has had his meeting with Putin in Helsinki. He is confident that he is getting away with collusion. You are asking all these questions because you do not know. You do not see what really is. All of what is said at this news conference is cover up. This is all cover up. Can you see that? This I put to you on Monday, July 16th, 2018. I will repeat this. I said on Monday, July 16th, 2018. Then 13 p.m. They both are getting what they want from each other. They both have colluded with each other. Trump knows it and Putin knows it. They need each other to succeed. Trump financially and Putin in ruling the world. Trump's God is his stomach. The love of money is the root of all evil. Trump is up over his head with this scheme of his. He is in it too deep to get out of it now. He, in so doing, has betrayed the United States. I've been saying from the very beginning of President Trump's presidency that he indeed colluded with Russia. I've also said from the very beginning, in order to save his financial empire that was crumbling, we saw that a Donald Trump presidency would get him and his financial empire back on track and going in the right direction. I've sent email to Fox News and then to CNN of these facts. And then I sent it to the Democratic Party. I think it's senatorial committee. Plenty of the time we talked about the United States making bad deals with other countries. We live in a world economy. It is important that the United States companies are a good world economy, not just a good United States company. He even got away with his son-in-law and daughter to become part of his cabinet. They have, by being there, they have so far, I think, made $80 million off of government activity, at least. This is all too easy for Trump so far. President Donald Trump is holding off of Vladimir Putin coming to the White House until after the investigation into his collusion with Russia is over, because he believes he has gotten away with his collusion. This I sent Wednesday, July 25th, 2018, 10:30 p.m. Wednesday, July 25th, 2018, 10:30 p.m. Donald Trump's scheme and plot is to set up a Western Hemisphere oligarchy for himself and his posterity, just like the Russian oligarchy that Vladimir Putin is connected with in Russia. You can have oligarchy with a family or a single person oligarchy. Doesn't matter. This is what the connection with Putin was all about. Set up his big business. This is why he wanted to be president of the United States. His tax returns are too much. He seeks to change the deals that the United States has made into his advantage. Judas, betrayer of the United States of America, is Donald Trump. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, he is. You can force his hand to do what he does not want to do. Proverbs 6, verse 14. Who plots evil with deceit in his heart. He always stirs up conflict. This too is Donald Trump. This is no real prayer breakfast, not a religious prayer breakfast. Anyway, but a political one. A front, so to speak. A real political turmoil he is creating. With real underhanded religious attacks. Read some too. King Abdullah II of Jordan has been invited to the White House on more than one occasion. King Abdullah II of Jordan is unwittingly participating in this. King Abdullah II of Jordan is a good guy. Vladimir Putin is a bad guy. This I sent Friday, September 21st, 2018, against the net. Friday, September 21st, 2018, against the net. Only the Lord himself provides jobs and good stock market. The good things that people have is not from Donald Trump, but is from the Lord. He or anybody else who takes or gets credit for these things is stealing from the Lord. It is the Lord himself who is the source of all good. The Lord himself and only he gets credit for doing good. Men are responsible for sin that they commit, for the sin that they commit, in their thoughts, in their words, and their deeds. Goodness is of the Lord and from the Lord. Jeremiah 9:23-24. This is what the Lord says. Let not the wise boast of their wisdom, or the strong boast in their strength, or the rich boast in their riches. But let the one who boasts boast about this, and in this, that they have the understanding to know me, that I am the Lord, who exercises kindness, justice, and righteousness in earth. For in these I delight, declares the Lord. The Lord is none other than the Lord Jesus Christ. Psalm 111, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and a good understanding are they who keep his commandments. At the time of the announcing of Donald Trump's selection as the 45th President of the United States, I declared the United States Constitution will finally be torn apart and be no more through the efforts of Donald Trump himself. You are on the outskirts of the whole issue. You are right there, just outside of it all, just missing it. He, Donald Trump, is not interested in the United States government, the government, as much as he is creating wealth off his presidency. Donald Trump is creating a whole new constitution. He is tearing up the United States Constitution and forming his own constitution. He cannot therefore be in violation of it. In his own constitution, called the Donald Trump Constitution, he is the King Donald Trump, not President Donald Trump. He is the sovereign one. Nobody is allowed in his land who does not bow the knee to him and is not totally loyal to him. It is mandated by him to his subjects. This is finally the end of the United States of America. The forefathers of this country have formed and established the United States in its Constitution, tried to keep and protect it. James Madison said, those who come after them, it is up to them to defend and preserve it. Not only that, but during the Democratic primary, while the primaries were still going on back in 2008, just after the third primary, I declared that Barack Obama will be president of the United States. And from that time on, that will be the beginning of the end of the United States of America. This is finally the end of the United States of America. All people everywhere that comes into his presence must pay homage, giving him gifts, singing his praise. There must be fair trade given to him. He must have the perfect deal for himself, not so much for the United States. This is not for you and your posterity, but for him and his posterity, where there will be no deal between him and other nations around the world, including both south of the border and north of the border, and not even from any of the United States allies. Why? Because there is no United States, but only the sovereign Donald Trump nation. Donald Trump is the leader of the government coup. He is holding captive the United States government and its citizens, especially the conservatives, the Republican Party and the government, and the hostess of conservative radio and TV talk shows. For a coup to be possible, we must take control of the people's minds. There are other factors as well in pulling off the coup. He is doing it. Read my emails that I previously sent you. I am not a long-time government official, and I am not a long-time news reporter. Thank you, Joseph. Go through all of my emails and you will find the answer to what is the purpose of Donald Trump and his presidency. That he has created for himself and his family. I sent this Monday, January 14th, 2019. It's 2:16 p.m. Monday, January 14th, 2019, 2:16 p.m. Go through all of my emails, and you will find the answer to what is the purposes of Donald Trump and his presidency that he has created for himself and his family. Donald Trump is desperate to get any form of a war gun on the southern border for fear that he might get indicted or at least impeached. He believes that an 8-year presidency will help him escape an indictment. The victory and the public opinion of the people will give him an escape of impeachment. He holds dearly to what one calls his peace, and the conservative media, like Rush Limbaugh and Coulter, who said that he was going too much of his base in votes. He wasn't going to lose too much of his base in votes if he did not keep his promise of a wall of some kind, that the Mexicans would pay for it. It seemed that the people pledged allegiance to him because of his promise. Red flags everywhere. Call this the West-East connection. President Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin and Russia, put Saudi Arabia, Turkey in with that and others. Jamal Khashoggi, going to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey, should have waved a red flag in front of Turkey. Turkey should have known to protect it. They knew that Saudi Arabia could very well kill him. They had him on their death list. No real action with Donald Trump against Saudi Arabia, finding out if Turks would allow this to happen. People have said that Russia must stand, not fall. This is an important fact that the world needs Russia, I heard this say. Putin and Russia, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Syria, and Iran, and Afghanistan are expert connivers. And so leaving Syria and Afghanistan bodes well for Putin, Russia, Turkey, Syria, and Iran. Afghanistan and Russia getting it together between themselves without the United States. We must put Donald Trump in that company with him. All of this serves the purposes of Donald Trump and his presidency. A word about ISIS being driven out of Iraq. ISIS never intended to have what is called a caliphate in Iraq. This was just the beginning for them. It is how you end up that matters. Like someone who has potential to be great, but for a possible long while they do not come to that greatness. Like someone who has potential to be great, but for a possible long while they do not come to that greatness. But then, lo and behold, that one becomes as great as others thought that one would be. It is not the way you start, but how you finish. They are not built for a nation like presidents. They are built to blend in, be quiet, and then attack, like a gang that is among and part of the neighborhood. Furthermore, ISIS desires to be the dominant terrorist organization in the Middle East and Southwest Asia. The Middle East and Southwest Asia includes, yes, Turkey. Superior travel. You go from Turkey to Europe, Turkey to Asia. Geographically, right there in the middle, that rolled out. Cyber war is the war of today. Middle East is going conventional, but the United States is in a cyber war against Putin and Russia. The Russians had originated this kind of war against the United States, even sometime before the presidential election in 2016. Since cyber war is considered a real war, you can have a traitor. President Donald Trump can be your traitor, aiding and abetting Putin and Russia. And Putin and Russia aiding and abetting President Donald Trump. They still are. Take a look at what I talked about the Helsinki meeting. Again, Putin agrees with President Trump, this time about the full outlook from Syria. Another definite sign that he's allying up with Putin. Possibility of the American troops leaving Afghanistan, another definite sign that he's allying up with Putin. Donald Trump is in communication with Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan is an indication that there's a line up with Turkey, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. These countries Trump has allied with, unfortunately for him, are also killer countries. He has to tolerate the killing that they do in order to make the fortune he and his family lustfully desires. He needs their relationship, cannot afford to lose it. United States Ambassador, well, this is, like I said, Monday, November 26th, 2018, at 11:15 a.m. Monday, November 26th, 2018, at 11:15 a.m. This is to the DSCC. United States Ambassador Nikki Haley praised Jared Kushner of being a genius. Yes, for getting away with violating the emoluments clause and the making of $100 million off his and his wife's position in President Donald Trump's cabinet. The emoluments clause in the United States Constitution says no title or ability should be granted by the United States. No person holding any office, a profit, or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, except any president, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state, they cannot accept any valuable things, such as these, and gifts, especially. When the choice was made by Donald Trump to make Jared Kushner and his wife Ivanka Trump part of his cabinet, Donald Trump was pulled out of this, citing that being a member of Trump's cabinet would violate the conflict of interest. This was told to Trump, and immediately he brought in one of his lawyers to refute that law. Of course, Trump, being a corrupt individual, brought in one of his corrupt lawyers and said something like, "That is not how it reads." Jared Kushner, President's son-in-law and President's daughter, have violated this clause while holding an office entitled in the President's cabinet. What do you need to do again? They say, well, the law, the only one that can interpret the law correctly is the lawyer. I don't think so. We're not stupid. We're smart. Take a look at Donald Trump's business relationship with Saudi Arabia. Jared Kushner is there as the lead person in these business endeavors in Saudi Arabia. And now with the murder of this journalist by Saudi Arabian Crown Prince, Trump has refused to admit that the Crown Prince ordered this and is responsible for the journalist's death. Why is President Donald Trump speaking the way he is, falling short of condemning this very evil act and refusing to commit to a just action against this butchery? Because he needs Saudi Arabia and their richest oil. A report came out that proclaimed that oil described in terms of black hole was discovered. Approximately 440 billion barrels of crude oil in Russia. Businesses that make product can't do without crude oil and other chemicals. He needs China, Russia, all that they can benefit to provide. Iran is not helping him. They are the number one sponsor of terrorism, not good for business. Russia, Putin, and their oligarchies have taught him well how government and business can partner together to gain monetary rewards and make them both good. This is why he ran for president of the United States. He needed to recover wealth he has lost from business deals that did not work out for him, of course, from what he perceived were bad business deals by the United States and by its allies. He has to change the deals that the enemies of the United States and the United States made together, and even their friends. The nations, he believes, received a much better deal that were negotiated by the United States and those other countries. Check out those taxes. All this that surrounds Donald Trump is founded is for them. It is not the United States of America first, but Donald Trump first. It is not to make America great again, but himself great. Only in word, that is. He and his business endeavors get the wealth first, then the people. The people have to work. They need an income. People do need jobs. When businesses grow and people have a job, then he makes wealth off of their situation. They are not going to make much considering what it costs to live these days. He is not giving the people much but the claims of Master Trump's deal. His motto is "Make America Great Again," and Trump gains most from doing so. People and their lives are not first with him. He is only using them. Many are dying under his presidency, here and abroad. He could not care less for Shinobi or anyone else or anything else. That stands in his way to make us. Filthy lucre all the way. This is Joseph Heck in Philadelphia. This ends this message. Go show dollars. Thank you. Thanks for watching.